Well, he was always the stronger of this duo, but has he got enough to carry it all the way to the line? The Kazakhstan rider has gone, and I'm afraid so has Marco Haller backwards, and he'll go into the clutches of Kudus and indeed Gougiar, who are just behind. Now, what can Lushenko do when the road really kicks up? He's settling himself into a rhythm right now, and you'd expect that. And no surprise to see Kudus trying to shake out Gougiar. If he takes Gougiar to the line, then I'm afraid it will be Gougiar that has the faster finish. On the little cap flat section at the end, about 250 meters is flat once they've dealt with the climb. It still counts as part of the climb, which is why the incline has such a modest average. But look at the way the camera shows you those standing at the side of the road. You can see the attitude they have to the asphalt. This is steep, and he's doing a great job. He stays seated, Sean, and up he goes.
Yes, he is looking powerful, you know, just pounding away, turning the pedals there and sitting the saddle, as you say, and 43 seconds we can see there, and it looks like that he's going to go all the way. He's, you know, inside the 3 kilometers to go, unless the chasers Gougiar and Kudus can really, you know, put in a big one here on the final bit. Looks like that it's going to be the Astana rider is going to take the glory today.
Kudus decides to stretch his legs, and Gougiar starts to fade. The bigger man, Mohawi Kudus, then now he's got a time trial, the time trial of his life on this climb. If he's going to make it, his target is up the road, Alexei Lushenko, and here he goes, digging in. Well, he's a little guy who packs a lot, big punch when it comes to an incline such as this, but is it too much? I believe it probably is, and this man's got to believe all he can do is set a tempo. It's a coping strategy right now, Sean. He knows it's going to hurt, he knows it's going to burn, and he doesn't want to get fried by Kudus, who's on his case.
No, he doesn't. Well, he's not going to think of anything, just keep working on it, and you know, really just you know, dig deep and just go into that suffering mode and just go for it and see what you can do. But he looks good, looks to be turning, you know, the pedals quite a good pace for the moment, and Kudus, we can see there, he's also going quite well. He's using a lower gear, he has a higher cadence, so he's spinning a bit more. But the advantage, we can see 35 seconds. If that's exactly the case, well then it's all to play for. But still, you know, we've still over 2 kilometers to go. It's a long ways, because the more steepest point is still quite a lot of it to come.
There is. Marco Haller is just about to be caught by Mohawi Kudus, who's behind. This is Lushenko, who's up front. He goes underneath the 2Ks to go banner. Now it flattens out ever so slightly, and then in about 400-500 meters, it gets very, very nasty indeed. Watch that clock. That's back to Kudus. It says 37 seconds at the moment. Kudus has found Marco Haller. That's the first of his targets on this climb, on the way up potentially to glory. We will see. Looks like a bit of pace about him. There is Haller struggling and just coming underneath that 2K to go banner, charging into the gate, and it now says 41 seconds. So second place at best, we'll see, because this man has got a whole load of hurt that starts in 300 meters.
Yes, we can see there on this straight just before there we came around this little turn, nobody in sight, and 39 seconds, it's a nice advantage, and Lushenko still walking away very well, still sitting in the saddle, but some riders can be, you know, real powerful doing that, and Lushenko, you know, we've seen him in the past, the way he can just ride in the final, but this is a real test for him, because with this real high percentage to the finish, but he seems to be coping quite well.
Yes, he does. Just unzips the jersey, only halfway, you understand, and he probably feels like he's got half of the stage remaining ahead of him. Such is the task. He's got 250 meters when of flat at the top, but to get there, he basically has to scale a mountain, and a real sheer face it will appear to be. Here comes Mohawi Kudus. Now watch the clock at the moment. Lushenko's still got an advantage. It bounces off 45. Now is it going to go the way of the Eritrean? The clock 43 seconds, then 42. That will start to tick down, and it's to a launch potentially of Kudus, and he's got to really dig in right now. Likewise, you could say the same thing for this man who's clawing his way up the mountain, almost using his fingernails. Sean, he's holding on here for glory.
Yes, he is. Well, he's looking impressive. You know, he's just still really working quite well. Looks to be going at a good pace there, turning the pedals quite well, a good cadence, and we can see Kudus, he's turning that little bit faster, but he's a lightweight rider, a climber, and they do that. But Luchenko, he's in the steep section now. This is where you have to dig deep, and still that 39 seconds of an advantage.
Yep. In about the next kilometre, Kudus has to find 37 seconds. He's lost 10 seconds, I can tell you, Luchenko, in around about the last 100 metres. So it can be done. However, either one of them could crack. Meanwhile, we look back at the main body of the peloton. They're looking for space and maybe taking advantage. And TJ Van Garderen fancies just taking a vault forward in the overall classification. We remind you that there's a lot of riders who are very, very tightly set together in the overall. In fact, 11 seconds separate the top 6. So TJ could move into second place if he finds just a modest margin of a second on De La Cruz, and maybe he's even thinking of taking 3 seconds and taking the lead of this race. BMC are motivated. There are others as well around them who'd like to have a dig, and there's Contador as well. I see bouncing into position for Trek Segafredo, just reminding us that he's very much still here. 45 seconds, and it looks like it's Kudus that's gone pop here. Oh my goodness, Luchenko has ground his way in. Well, if the clock starts to bounce back the other way, and it's going second by second, which suggests the clock is trying to struggle to find a reading, and it swings back towards Kudus. Don't trust the clock then, is the answer. It sets at 34. We'll see what it is at the end. Toughest section he's been through right now, but he's still got a lot to do. There's the Flamme Rouge. He's got 800 metres shorn of hurt before it flattens out. Can he deliver? It looks like he will.
Yes, it looks very much he can hold on, because 35 seconds he's been holding that. It's been just going up and down by 2 to 3 seconds, but I think Kudus, when he went in the attack there, when he dropped Goujar, that was the time when we would see if he could start eating into the advantage of Luchenko, but he's holding off, and 37 seconds at the moment. It has to be enough to go all the way for the Katusha, for the Astana rider.
Here comes Kudus, closing the gap, but I'm afraid it looks all too late. 36 seconds looks like a cushion that I think that Luchenko could sit on. He stayed planted in his saddle, and he starts to hit the flat section. Oh, this is going to feel joyous for the 24-year-old Kazakhstani. Here he comes, sails round past the swimming pool complex by the looks of things. He'll be jumping in that for joy a little bit later on. Brave effort by Mohamed Kudus, but just leaving it a little bit too late. The timing was wrong. He had passenger out there as well with Alexis Goujiar. He tried to shake him out, but maybe should have gone earlier. But it's going to be Kazakhstan and Astana, I'm afraid, that's celebrating tonight. And he has a look back. He's still got this steep section, not quite on the final flat, but I think he's going to bring it home, Sean. But he looks like he's struggling even now.
Yes, well, I think he's on a steep section once again there, and he's looking around, but I think he'll be made aware of the advantage he has got. When you get that close to the finish, unless you really hit the wall, you have to be able to hold on. And I think Kudus have been really pushing on for quite a while, for quite a bit further down this climb, and he hasn't pulled back really anything. It looks like that is Luchenko's day today.
Well, just looking back here, and you're finding some very big names. Fabio Aru's only 38 seconds down. He'd like to grab a few more. If Sky have done a lot of the chasing today, maybe there's an angle for them to take some time back on Chris Froome. Here's Luchenko. Well, it wasn't the final flat section for him, but he's in the hoarded section right now, and rather nervously, still looking over his shoulder, Sean. But this man looks like, I'm afraid, his heart... Well, he's got a big heart, but I'm afraid he hasn't got what it takes to deliver the killer blow. Not today, but he came close.
Yes, he did. Well, he gave it a good effort, and he immediately, started to push on when it kicked up in the very earlier part of the climb, and he knew he had to do that because the advantage to the two at that point, Luchenko and Haller, he had to go for it, and looked impressive when he did go. But we can see there now he's starting to suffer from the efforts, and I think, yes, the ride into the climb as well has taken a lot out of this man, because he had to really push hard with Goujar, and I think that has taken that bit from him, and Luchenko is going to go all the way.
Alexei Luchenko finally deals with the climb, and now he's got to deal with success. He took a stage in the Paris-Nice last year. The year before, won in the Tour of Switzerland. He's never had a result such as this. But right now, Lutsenko is going to take a stage, the biggest of his career, in La Vuelta. And well done to him. What a brave effort it was. Firstly, to get into the break, and then to have the guts to go out and shake off all opposition from some very high-quality riders who probably would have thought of a stage victory ahead of this man. But he has done it. The clock ticks on, 14, 16, 17 seconds. This is the gap back down to Mohawi Kudus. Little bit of a lack of timing perhaps from him, but you never know how Lutsenko would have responded. He was able to tempo up the climb. Driving into it was Mohawi Kudus of Eritrea, and indeed Dimension Data. And it's going to be a long old wait. I think he realised that the game was up and the clock still hasn't stopped on Mohawi Kudus. Meanwhile, we look further back down the mountain, and this is about marking each other out. This is an effort to put a man up just ahead for Chris Froome potentially to use a little bit later on. But you can see Chavez in the white jersey nursing that combined jersey on behalf of Chris Froome. Froome himself is actually right there in the red jersey as well, just wrestling, but being guided up this. And in fact, it's a hurt tempo that's being put on right now by Team Sky, just to make sure that nobody is mad enough to take him on.
Yes, well, I think on a climb like this, you have to, you know, make a strong tempo. Otherwise, the riders going to start thinking of attacking. And Team Sky, as we have seen, you know, so many occasions, they just push, you know, riders on the front, and they have been doing this on their own into the climb. We haven't unfortunately seen it today because we've been concentrating on the battle out for the stage victory. But again, you know, they're just really putting the hurt on here on everybody. We can see the way the peloton is stretched out.
Well, we're staying with this battle because as the breakaway come home and across the line, but right now it's a battle that's being, the general, I should say, is indeed Chris Froome and Sky. They're doing a phenomenal job. Froome's called for this, and to have something this much in reserve as they wound in some of the break. There's Luis Masponet, they find first, and still they're there. But just look at the man who is stalking them. This is phenomenal from Esteban Chavez. He wants a piece of the day as well. It's all about the gap for these guys further back down the road. There's the clock ticking on for you. It's a battle within a busy battlefield that we're watching right now, Sean.
Yes, well, there's a big battle on, and it's Sky is, you know, putting the battle up here, and the peloton is just exploding big time, and we can see the riders, you know, gaps appearing everywhere, and that something you would expect on a very difficult running like this. We can see here the group of Chris Froome, 20 maybe riders there, 25 riders possibly. We
and
can
Froome goes for it. He digs in. Contador can't stay with him. He goes backwards. Chavez tries to keep on board with Chris Froome. This is about imposing yourself. And Chris Froome here might even be hunting for a few seconds. He'll be looking for a gap himself. Flags are in the way. The motorcycle's been called out, so he doesn't offer up too much assistance from those behind. Green, I'm afraid, this action by the trees as we stand. Zakharin, I think, thought about it. He's gone backwards, and there it is. You can see Contador with his rolling shoulders just by the centre line. Chavez in the white jersey by the hoardings, and Chris Froome dead centre. Woods is also there, and so is TJ Van Garderen in the black and red of BMC, but Chris Froome looks behind. He's playing with them, Sean. This is quite remarkable, and he may well maul them in a few moments when he comes around the corner. If he's got anything left, he'll find a second or two if he can get it.
Yes, well, I think he's going to find a bit of time, take a bit of time on some of the other riders who are very close to him. David de la Cruz, of course, from Quick Step Floors. We cannot see him there, but there's riders just scattered all over this final climb.
Yes, they are, and yes, doing a phenomenal job of it as well. Gosh, here we go then. Dig in. Chris Froome says, no, you're not going to have me. Contador follows on, trying to at least get a positional bragging rights over Chris Froome. Woods comes through, and there is Chavez as well, very close at hand. Oh, this is fantastic stuff by Chris Froome. In fact, he's knocked back a lot of major players for the title here, and this will start the clock really from now to some of those who have been left behind on this mountain. Here's TJ Van Garderen, who takes a few more seconds, I'm afraid, to add to his deficit. Simon Yates, I think it is, who crosses the line right now. One of the Yates brothers. There is Aru as well. Warren Barguil was also up there towards the front in the frame. My goodness, Sean, that was a real dig that they had to engage with.